And good evening and welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and I'm delighted to have back my friend and yours, Mr. New London, Mike McLaughlin.
Yeah, good to see you, Marty.
Good to see you.
Nice shirt, by the way. I'll tell you what, Marty has become very, very professional over these years, especially with his attire. I like your shirt. I mean, it's not green, it's not gold, it's not like Fitch's red and gray or whatever it is, and well, Waterford's blue and white, and so it encompasses them all, so that shows that you represent the entire district. And I think that's great because.
Well, I'll tell you, we've got I think a good opening topic here, and that's high school football.
Yeah,
kicks off this weekend.
Yeah, I remember that the first time I did high school football was when New London won their first state championship. Okay, they had Jackie Cochran and Juan Roman, who you'll have on next week, and other people along that on the team. Jimmy Bune, of course, Sr. was the coach. They had some really, really good players, and that was a team that only gave up 32 points all year. So I've been doing it since 40-some years. I think they won in '83. So that would have been 17, 25, 42 years, That's how many years I've been doing it. And it's such a pleasure to have it come back. And the real big pleasure that I really have is that I'm going to be able to do many of the games with you.
Oh.
And
well, we started that last year. I appreciated the opportunity.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
Well, why not? You're very deserving. You are in the London Hall of Fame for football. You're knowledgeable of the thing. It's a situation where that's what we need. We have too many people come in and try to tell us how it is and come in from out of town and everything, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But it's good to have some of the local people do some of the things. And when you look, you see many of the people who, like Jimmy O'Neill, had great success, he's local. Lee Elsey has great success, he's local. Your show, you know what I mean? And the things like that, and it's really good. But before I go any further, I think I should, without further ado, wish Robert Alves, known as Bobby, former St. Bernard star athlete, who was the principal of Montville High School. It's his birthday today.
Ah.
So happy birthday, Mr. Alves. Now, but I mean, in what we were talking about, the other thing is, I can remember when, like, New London played Waterford. What a game that was. About 5 years ago, I started a scholarship for this, the accountants, Ronnie Bowdy's mother and father, Nancy,
Yep.
and because they used to run the concession stand in London, and they lived in Waterford. So I said, everybody would love this. Well, Waterford plays in London, we'll have the Bowdy, MVP of the game. They played once since I had the tournament. They didn't play this year.
To me, that's amazing with
That's
scheduling.
what I mean, yeah.
In London, why are they not playing Waterford?
You could walk from New London to one. You don't even need a bus. If you got mad at your kids and you were the coach, and you walked out, go behind Bates Woods and stuff like that, you could walk from New London High School to Waterford or vice versa. And they don't play. They play in other sports, but they don't play football.
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean, I should have brought, Jimmy Lewis dropped off the New London schedule to me, which
Yeah.
I forgot to bring tonight. But
Great player at New London. He and his brother. Jimmy went to Holy Cross, I think.
Timmy went to Holy Cross.
Yeah, Timmy was he was like a combination running quarterback. He was a multi-talented quarterback. And Jimmy was the wide receiver. You're 100% right on that.
Jimmy was in my younger brother's class of '74.
Well, their father, I think Fred Lewis, used to play at Morgan Park all the time in the baseball league and stuff like that. And for 5 years, he was a very exceptional player. But they were both great players at New London.
Yeah. Jimmy was telling me that his brother Tim at Holy Cross played football for maybe a year or two, but he concentrated more on baseball.
Yes.
In Fitton Field up there, the baseball park, which is relatively new, as well as the football field, it's a nice complex.
Well, you'll be up there this week. But no, Holy Cross only made one major decision that was incorrect. They didn't join the Big East. And when all those teams that are around them, like UConn who joined, and the other teams that joined, that Holy Cross played, especially the Catholic schools, they all went a higher level. Because in Holy Cross is an exceptional school because they had the Supreme Court justice from there. I can't remember his name, and they did excellent things. But their athletics who were at a very high level, because they had Bob Cousy and Tommy Heinsohn and Judge Angelo Santinello, who was Jimmy O'Neill's uncle, was the biggest Holy Cross fan of all. If you were any good around here, you had a shot to go to Holy Cross.
Well, the Holy Cross, it's only an hour and a quarter away, and I enjoy going up there at least once a season to watch a football game. And this Saturday, a group of us are going to go up and see the Crusaders host Rhode Island.
Yeah, you are. That's a good game.
And Rhode Island's got a nice team. They played last year. They opened the season up down in Kingston.
Yeah.
It was a very, very good game, which Rhode Island won down the
Well,
stretch.
who was it? Louis Allen's son, Timmy, played for URI. He gained 2,000 yards at East Lyme High School in the season, and he played for URI.
Yeah. Well, the gentleman who owns Low Karting, he also played at URI.
Okay. URI
He
is...
was I don't know where he went to high school.
Yeah, because it used to be really good when Providence would play URI in basketball. Those games used to be. Well, Tyson Wheeler went to URI.
He sure did. His number's retired there.
Yes, it is. His number is right down in the Londons and retired in that area too. And you know, it's a situation where we've had so many guys from around here play at superior schools. Like when I went to New London High School, and I was probably the lousiest player because I was always hurt, but the quarterback Dave Connors went to Purdue. The wide receiver Billy McCarthy, he only played football 1 year, went to North Carolina. Billy Foy, oh God, I'm trying to think of where he went.
He went to Amherst.
Amherst, yes he did. And
Yeah, he was a stud up at Amherst. I mean, he was terrific.
Well, he got a shot for the Miami Dolphins. He just didn't quite, you know what I mean? But all the Foy families were very good. Richie was exceptional at UConn.
Well, he was an All-American center.
Yes, but now he's an All-American writer with the book he wrote about his father, which is, if you live in New London and you haven't read the book about Mr. Foy, because even though I would go over their house because I knew Billy, he was Mr. Foy when he was principal in school, out of school, whatever.
Even the teachers called him
Mr. Foy. It's a great book Richie wrote, and you should get it and go in because it really personifies a person, especially a person who had great influence on many of the New London kids. You know, we had Ponce Penaflor play, and Bobby Martin, who later became a judge. He was the center.
And city councilor and mayor.
Yeah, he thought he was Sam Huff. He always wore number 17. Yeah, he was a very, very good player. Gordon Bryson, who used to play, he was from Hawaii. He used to play basketball at Harbor School, barefooted. I don't know. But, you know, and that was a good group of people. The group of people, obviously, that Tommy Major played in, and then the other group, Juan Ramon played, all the different things.
Well, I was with Tommy. Tommy was a year ahead of me in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a couple of actually we had good teams every year. My freshman year, we had a powerhouse. That was Bob Weiss's last year.
Oh, yeah.
And they were 9-0, and they just absolutely annihilated everybody.
But they just barely beat NFA.
That's correct.
And that meant that West Haven, because there was only one, there was none of this CIAC stuff like that. There was CIC, but none of these who picked who picked. The New Haven Register picked the teams, and West Haven killed somebody that week. So West Haven was number 1 in the nation, and not one, but number 1 in the state, and New London was number 2. And that was an amazingly good team that they had. And the late Ernie Douglas and all those different players running the ball. And they were fabulous. And John Brennan, who was probably big enough to play tackle.
They were all big.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Well, Louis Mallett was 3+.
and that was before 3+ was in vogue.
Yeah.
If
And
I'm
he
not
played-
mistaken, he played in the middle. You know, Marvin Key
Played middle guard.
played well.
Yeah.
Tony Christopher, you had.
Well, those were the guys. And they had wide receivers and,
Reggie Wheeler, Kevin Booth.
Yep. Imagine those two playing. Wow. Reggie Wheeler, I remember we had the semi-pro football team Reggie played. He was a very good wide receiver. They went undefeated one year. Joe Hoffman was the guy that brought all that to you. And those were the days. They played up at St. Bernard's, and then they moved to East Lyme. And they had great teams. They would play against, one of the guys actually played for the Dolphins in the Super Bowl, a little short guard. I mean, not guard, a wide receiver. But those were the days. And so it's all starting, and we bring it, it's all starting. We have the game, Marty and I, over at Fitch. We're a combination of Abbott Tech and Immaculate out of Danbury coming down to play the Falcons. Falcons should be very, very good. And it'll be a good way to start the season. And we'll be on at 6:30, and you can check the paper, see where we are, and so forth like that. But Marty will be...
I'm looking forward to it. We worked, I think, 3 games last year.
Yeah,
we had a nice...
One game we didn't even see because it was Thanksgiving Day and the rain was coming down so bad. But it was, it was interesting.
There were more guys in the booth than in the stands.
Yeah, and I'm sure Waterford will have a good team. East Lyme will be competitive. Killingly is supposed to be the super because they got their running. They always have a great running back. I gained 2,000 yards, scored 42 touchdowns, and
Must have a good line. You get a running back that's putting out that kind of production.
Because Wyndham will probably be good because Wyndham was challenging. You know what I mean? And then when the Waterford quarterback got hurt, Waterford was beating Wyndham, and then he got hurt, and Wyndham come back in the last quarter to beat him. So, Waterford will have some players, and and I'm sure kids will have transferred from one school to another school.
And London has a new coach this year.
Yeah. Who, to be honest, and he's probably a great coach, he's probably a good man. I don't even know who he is. Okay, usually the coach in London you would know, you know what I mean? And, Mike Ellis is back at Fitch for his 10th year. I think his father spent almost 20 there, so 30 of the past 40 years, the Ellises have probably been coaching. And, Tanner Grove is in his 20th year up at Montville. And, and some of the other teams are moving the guys around or whatever because Waterford has a new coach. And, but hey, it'll be fun. It'll be fun because we'll see what they do. And Jimmy Bunicourt Jr. and the scheduling group for the whole conference give them some outside opportunities so we can see how really good they are so they just don't play each other. Even though I think if I were a fan, I would prefer they all played each other. Because then you can say,
well, you have the local, the local competitiveness and rivalries. What's the rivalry between Fitch and Immaculate?
Yeah, or Fitch and Abbott Tech. No, but what I would like the fans to do tonight, the phone number's on there. Think back, just call us, and if you don't want to talk to us, that's fine. Just tell us who you think the best football player that ever played in Eastern Connecticut was.
Well, in Eastern Connecticut, so you're expanding the net.
Yeah, because we got to let Killingly in now because they had a couple of players. You know what I mean? And, and tell us who you think because it's always good to see because some of these guys have sons, or cousins. And Mr. Roman had 2 kids who played. Well, big time one. They
both went to Yale and they both played.
Yeah, so
And they both played well.
Yeah, and Juan went to started at Norwich with Jackie Cochran, and then he went to Central. And senior year was unbelievable that they won. Because of the now you can transfer 8 times. The UConn quarterback is in his 7th year.
Well, yeah, this is a
I
whole
got out
different
of graduate
conversation.
school.
I mean,
I almost had a PhD in 7 years. And this guy.
that is, I have issues with the name,
Yeah.
image, likeness, and the easy transfer portal. I mean, years ago, if you were to transfer, I mean, A, you'd have to sit out of you.
Yes.
You have to find somebody to stay with,
Yeah.
and they prefer you stayed with family.
Yeah. No, because what also is so, in my mind, so unfair is if you're a regular kid going to one of these schools and you're paying, these guys have spent 7 years at 6 different schools, get the same degree you did. The NCAA should say, okay, we'll solve it. We'll get you a college degree, but it won't be from a college. It'll just be you've taken the courses to warrant to get a college degree. That I would understand. But no, they don't. It's just like, you know, but you see, I mean, and the biggest setup game they had was the opening game, where why in Texas's mind, if they were #1 in the nation, would you go to Ohio State to play your first game? Very few people come to Ohio State with a big fan.
That is called a sense of arrogance. You're
No, money.
Columbus, and I think you're going to go up there and win.
Yeah, you ain't winning up there. Not very few people do. Michigan may have, but not a whole lot of people do. And that's the whole thing. But I guess UConn is back to the normal play. I think they played Lehigh or somebody, Delaware.
Well,
This week.
Delaware's a 1AA team too. They're in, I think, the Coastal Athletic
Yeah.
Association,
Yeah.
the Blue Hens,
But
but
I
they
would-
normally have a pretty good squad.
Yeah, I was surprised they played as well against Boston College. They could have beat Boston College. UConn. So, you know, we do the different things. But, you know, what it all comes back to is, please, support the local high school teams, especially in your area. Now, I realize you're going to tell me, not you, because you're going to know, because we got to be there half hour before any game starts, so you'll know. But most of the fans, we don't know when the games start. Some schools start at 7. Some start at 6:30. Some start at 6. A school starts at 5. Okay, another situation we have is most of the games used to be like Friday night. Now they have Thursday games
I
quite
see that.
frequently, yeah. Because Montville opens, they have a beautiful all-turf field now, beautiful up there now. And they're opening October 2nd against Legend, and that's a Thursday.
I'm puzzled by that.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't think, unless I'm completely ignorant, that maybe there's no school on third, but it's not a holiday or anything.
I don't think so.
Yeah. But hey, it's unbelievable. Who do you think, since the people don't want to call, who do you think was the best player that ever played high school football around here, including any ECC team? So
Well, I'm just going to throw some names out randomly that I'm thinking of.
Yep.
You had the kid that went to Nebraska.
Oh, Doug DuBose is not even close. He would have won the Heisman Trophy if he didn't get hurt in spring practice his senior year. Doug DuBose went to Montville. And for the first 3 years, Doug DuBose played quarterback. He was about 5'9", 5'10" then. And his brother Gary was the running back. And he went and played at UConn. He was a player, football player. Very good, I think, architect now. Dougie only played that year, but he trained, you couldn't believe what it was like. I mean, he got ready, and he gained close to 2,000 yards. He scored 28 touchdowns. He would have had the state record, which was in the 30s, but they played East Lyme at East Lyme, and there was a scuffle, and he got bounced out of the game early, or else he would have, because everybody was whatever that was. And so Montville still won by me. And they went all the way to the finals in the state tournament, and they lost in the final game. And but he's also a very good baseball player. He was also an exceptional basketball player. People didn't realize. because he could jump. And but he to me is without doubt. And then he went, and like I said, he wrecked his knee, and they couldn't fix him back then. But he came all the way back and played for the 49ers in at least one Super Bowl. So he's
But he was pretty good. A guy who gets no buzz at all, and that's because he was a lineman. Was John Contoulis.
Oh yes, John Contoulis. He used to be at Fitch, but he went to New London.
Well, he played for New London. He's one guy. He coached at Fitch.
Yeah.
Track and field, I believe.
I saw him play at UConn. I saw him play for the Giants at the Polo Grounds when the Giants played at the Polo Grounds against the Packers one time when I was like 7 years old. John Contoulis was in. He was much better as a football player. I think after he got out of high school, college, he went into service for a little while and then came for, because he was, definitely a pro player, excellent player. Juan Roman was as good a linebacker as there was around here, because he was exceptional. I mean, the team, senior year when they won a state championship, they only gave up 32 points, and most of those points were after everybody left. Not after they left, but I mean they were starters.
And they just take them out, so there was.
Yeah, because they had Jackie Cochran, they had Danny Vendetto, who was the quarterback. They had, one of the Potters was a kicker, who kicked a state record in a state tournament game, a state championship game, field goal that game. They played Torrington. Torrington came down. They stayed at UConn, Torrington, not UConn, but in the area. Big deal. They were undefeated in London. Took them right out of the game. And, and that was a very, very good team. But another linebacker, obviously, who would have played in the pros if he didn't hurt his knees, was Tommy Major. People forget how good he was. He went to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. But if he didn't hurt his knee, he's a pro player. He's a pro linebacker.
Well, for my money, Tommy was the best high school player that I've seen.
Yeah.
At the position he played, I mean, he's a linebacker.
Yeah,
but he played with fury, and the ball's there, and that's what, his objective was, to raise Cain between wherever he was and getting to the ball.
Yeah, and you won't believe it if you talk to him now how quiet, mild-mannered he was. The other one who played in London as a linebacker was Mad Dog Holloway. He was like 152, played linebacker. He'd chase you up in the stands to tackle you. I mean, he's a very good player. Fitch had Joey Addison.
Yep, he was on one of Bob Weiss's, state teams.
Yeah. Exceptional player. I mean, the other guy, Bill Borden, I think, the shot putter.
Yep.
And he almost made the Olympics at that, and he was an exceptional player. I mean, because he could move in and out. Let's see, who else we got? Oh, NFA had a number of super players. The guy that Outlaw, Marcus Outlaw, he went to Boston College, and then he finished at Coastal Carolina. He was an exceptional player. I remember when they played Xavier in the state finals. On the first play, 5 guys hit Marcus so he wouldn't be as good as he was. But another one was Tyler Gerard Floyd at Montville. He started as a lineman, and he only ran back for 3 years. He scored 88 touchdowns and rushed for 4,000 yards.
It's exceptional.
Yeah, he was. But again, the competition at Montville may not have been what New London and NFA were playing. But Montville played all the big teams around here. I mean, they played the East Lyme, they played, Fitch, they played New London, but they didn't do those outside games like NFA and them would do.
One of the nice things that I've enjoyed with broadcasting with you is it gives me an opportunity to look at the local talent.
Yeah.
And which I normally would not have. I'd probably be sticking to the New London games.
Yeah.
And this has given me a much broader scope. And there's some nice guys that we've seen play.
Oh yeah, Fitch always has.
Waterford had a nice quarterback last year.
Oh, he was unbelievable. Till he got hurt, he was unbelievable. They're state champs if he doesn't get hurt in the Wyndham game. even though they would have still had to play Killingly. And Killingly had some super guys too, and they've always had good guys. But it took a long time in the history of football for Killingly to beat New London. Killingly almost never beat them, and they almost never beat them here. And they've done that a little bit better. But the biggest football game was supposed to be many years back, because Tony D's son was the quarterback for New London. And they were undefeated at 8-0. And they had to play Killingly the next week. Fitch was 8-0. They were both going to play at New London's field, Pat Canamella Field. How can we, let's stop this story a bit. The best player ever from New London was Pat Canamella. You can't believe it. Southern Cal, when they named Pat Canamella Field, who do you think came down and gave the speech to do it?
Frank Gifford.
Yes, from the Giants, as good as you get, one of the all-time Southern Cal. So Patty Canamella.
And just a general celebrity.
Yes, I mean, without a doubt, but especially a great player, number 16 for the Giants. And this is the thing, but but they had that game, and then New London lost on the last play of the game when a guy named Darryl Dalrymple for Killingly ran like 60 yards for a touchdown. And all of a sudden, that game, which was going to be 9-0, didn't happen. It was still a great game, but because Fitch had a guy that played for UConn, I can't remember his name, he was a great running back. But those were the days. High school football used to be packed the place. You couldn't get into East Lyme. You couldn't get into Waterford when they have a home game. NFA. Now there's some don't even play. Like NFA sometimes plays Friday or Wednesday before. Well, Montville always does, and because I think they play Tuesday because on Thanksgiving for the simple reason they don't have school Wednesday. It's hard to get people to work. But it's a situation where there's been so many great and talented players. I mean, we just touched a few. And because when you think about it, I mean, East Lyme had, Todd Donovan, Bill Donovan's son, was an excellent football player. Timmy Allen gained 2,000 yards. The other Allen brother, Lou Jr., gained 2,000 yards at East Lyme. Okay, which is still a trick to me.
Now, Lou played at Connecticut.
Yeah,
and,
you played
and
at
his younger
UConn.
brother played at Rhode Island.
Yep. Yeah. And but they could play, and the father played at UConn.
He played with Richie Foy.
Yes, he did. Who was a very good player. The Foys were good. Michael Foy, Richie Foy, Billy Foy. And so, I mean, it's an unbelievable thing. But still, the most unique thing I ever done when I've done these games is when Jimmy Buonicorn Jr., because both the Buonicorns coached at Fitch for a while, but Jimmy Buonicorn Jr. was the coach. He previously had gone to Springfield, and what was a unique situation, he was the punter for they. And they played against Coast Guard. I was doing Coast Guard games then before they fired me, but anyhow. And then the center on long snaps was John Cena, who weighed 185. And one day at Fitch practice, who comes down to the practice to see Coach Buonicorn Jr.? John Cena. And that place went crazy to get you. Because he was an exceptional, intelligent person to him. He plays the role, but I mean, he's still exactly like that.
Well, one guy who didn't play locally, but certainly had a presence on the football field was mentioned Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Was a quarterback named Graham.
Oh, Otto Graham. He gave me an award, Mr. Otto Graham, because in 8th grade, when Buckley was at junior high school, I won the foul shooting contest for school. So there's a picture of me looking as stupid as I can look with Mr. Otto Graham giving me the trophy. That's the only award I ever won, because it's always heard after that. But you can say that again. Otto Graham, Cleveland Browns. They weren't in the NFL, but they controlled. It was called the American Football League, but it wasn't this other conference thing. It was a complete other different thing. And that's where Patty Canamella played. And
the Browns, when Otto Graham, and they were coached by Paul Brown.
Yes.
I think they won every title in that
They
league's
were owned
existence.
by Paul Brown.
Yes,
I
they
think
were.
That's why they
And
were
the
Brown.
coach.
Yeah.
And named after him.
Yeah. Because you know who else was a very good player? Ernie Douglas was a very good running back. Johnny Ellis was a decent football player as a linebacker and a.
Well, that's where I was introduced to him, was playing football. I mean, I had
Yeah.
no idea he was a baseball player until he was signed,
Well,
I believe,
he-
by Cleveland. Wasn't he? Was it Cleveland first or the Yankees?
Yankees signed him first. And then he went under Cleveland to finish his career. Texas, too. But Johnny Ellis lived in Michigan his first 2 years because his older brother went to school with me. But Johnny and his father was in Coast Guard. They went out to, and his father retired from Coast Guard, I think, and bought a big, huge parking lot over at EB. But anyhow, and Johnny came. And Johnny was an excellent quarterback. Johnny was an excellent catcher. But we had Dave Connors, who was a year ahead of Johnny, who played each one of those spots. So Johnny had to become like a first baseman in baseball and a running back or something like that in football. But he made his big thing is when they had one Legion tournament at the end of the year, he had like 4 or 5 home runs down the Palmer Field.
Oh, yeah. Back in the early 60s, too. I mean, Billy Discordia played quarterback in New London.
Excellent player. Excellent player. Nice guy, did a whole lot of work for the school system, policeman. He was very good. You know, Freddie Fabricant was a guy that could play too. He had great speed, much more speed than people knew. And this is the thing. I mean, New London, you know, but then again, New London had a situation early where the kids from Montville and the kids from East Lyme went to New London too. And, you know, but some of them couldn't play because of the bus situation. But, you know, they used to have great teams. You know, I mean, Legend, when they came on the scene, they had good players because they had, I forget the pro player, they had the linebacker. He was a, God, what the heck was his name? He was had a Spanish name, and he was an unbelievable player. He played well. You know, the other schools all had good teams. Stonington has had their players. You know.
Yeah. A year or two ago, I bumped into, by chance, Jimmy Cavalieri from Waterford.
Oh yes, Waterford guy, very nice man. He's the greatest story of all of sports around here.
But he was sharing with me that the year that my younger brother Eric, which would have been 1960, let's see, 68, my brother won the Ford punt, pass, and kick national championship. Got a chance to travel all over the country.
Sure.
But Cavalieri was sharing with me because he ended up being a quarterback. My brother ended up playing linebacker and guard. But he said, you know, that Eric is the one who beat him in that contest coming out of the local area. Oh. So, which I didn't know or remember, but because I know Cavalieri is a good athlete.
Cavalieri was Waterford quarterback. Okay. They had the Sea Raiders, the team, and he was. Because they kept a lot of local players, they kept him on the team as the backup quarterback because they had an exceptional player who got called up early in the season because NFL team's punter had a bad leg, so they didn't want him to punt in practice. So their quarterback was wet, and Cavalieri came. Because I remember when they played their first scrimmage, everybody was like, because he wasn't from London, was kind of like booing Cavalieri. Cavalieri took over undefeated. That season, he was unbelievable. The nicest guy. He thinks he does, but he really showed what he had then because everybody said, oh, he can't. But he could. He could play. Cavalieri was an exceptional player. He's an exceptional person. What he does at the different athletic events at the Waterford Hall of Fame and stuff is just...
Well, he's kind of taken that under his wing, the Waterford Athletic Hall of Fame.
Yes, it is.
So you got to give him kudos for that.
Oh, he put Lee Elsie in.
Well, you know, there's a good athlete. I'm not sure how he was as a football player.
He was okay, but he was obviously he was a baseball player.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, but he could hit a baseball. See, he got poor Lee, and it's still such a joy to hear his show. When I remember him when, I was saying, where did he get these words from? But anyhow, he's fabulous on the thing. If the Cardinals had not drafted him, see, the Cardinals were a speed team. He had, you know, he went one time, and I've told this story 100 times. The Norwich Navigators, the Yankee farm team, had a home run hitting contest.
I was at the All-Star game that weekend. Or
Yes.
I was.
And they invited Dave Winfield. They invited Mike Schmidt. They invited Johnny Bench. And Lee Elsey was just starting his show. And he said, Mike, he says, can you ask these guys, see what you can do to get me in? I said, surely. Who do you think was leading at the end of the first round?
Lee, I
Lee
was
Elsey.
there.
Yeah.
He was
And
yanking
so-
him out of that place. That's
so
not an
they
easy
said-
place to hit him out of.
No, and they said to Lee, kind of like, we can't let you win. So, but no, Lee was a great, but I'll say, as great an athlete as he was, what he does on that show is totally unbelievable. The people he interviews, the comments he has, and it's just such an interesting thing to listen to.
Yeah.
Because, Lee and I are sports. That's what we talk about. But I'd rather listen to him talk about some of these other things, like when he's got an author in there, or he's got a state politician or something. It's really good.
Yeah. Well, I'm scheduled to be on the 25th.
Oh, yeah?
This month. We
Yeah.
have the Kiwanis Golf Tournament on the 19th, and then the
it's
following
Thursday.
Thursday,
Yeah.
Early in the morning for those who are up, 94.9, and you can listen to me.
It's
and
great
the,
listening. It's great listening on the thing. And so I'll have my attention to that on my way. And I'll probably be calling around 7 or something like that.
And there we go, folks.
Yep.
If you're like to go out and play around with the Kiwanis Club, it's our annual tournament. It's at Shanacasset in Groton. And it's a shotgun format. And we're teeing off, I believe, at 1. And we'll be starting registration at around 11:30. Send you out with a box lunch. There's a buffet dinner afterwards. Lots of prizes, raffles.
Yeah.
It's a good time, and the funds come back into the community. So we greatly appreciate your support. And come on out. There's still room for players. There's still room for sponsors. We could always use volunteers.
Let me tell you one that people don't realize, and you inform me of this. My grandson, Quentin, every year I sponsor a hole in his name because he loves sport, you know what I mean? And it's not an expensive thing to sponsor a hole. And it's really a neat thing because your name is there. You get to see Quentin McLaughlin, you know what I mean? It's the whole situation like that. And it makes us proud that, and every year I get one of the holes for him. And it's proud. I've never been a member of the Kiwanis Elks or all of these things. I don't know. Either I don't like them or they don't like me or whatever it is.
I think it would embrace you if you opted to step out into a new territory. But let's not ruin a good story here. So
No. So we keep them, because they do. They do great things for the community is what I'm saying. Okay? The Kiwanis, by giving these kids these scholarships, other agencies, Elks, or I think there's a golf tournament for Mr. Bunacore Sr. this year, later on.
First one.
Yeah, and to do these things is so wonderful that these organizations can take the time to set this up and do the things so that kids can benefit. Now, I will stand by those things for what they do and how they do it. And if anyone approaches me of these things, it's an honor for me to do this for the Kiwanis Club, because I've been doing it for a couple of years. And it's a real good thing that you do. Because some of these kids, their whole chance is if somebody helps them get into a school.
Well, that's what we're looking for. I mean, the items that we are searching for are obviously we're looking for academic achievement.
Sure.
But we're looking for what they give to the community and the school, and that's important. And there's a need factor. Now, we're not looking for taxes, but if a youngster is, being brought up by their grandparents, or grandma or mom's, working as a maid in one of the local hotels or something. I mean, you might have an inkling that this may be a need. And if we have the opportunity to give that kid a chance to get into school and get started, we think we're doing a good deed.
And that's the thing. And it's so wonderful. You can't imagine what it's like to be on the contributing side when you hear who the kids that won are. Okay? Because fortunately for me, and for you also, we do so many of these games, football, whatever it is, and so forth. We get to see these kids and somehow know them, not real personally, but we know them, you know, and I also get to see many of them when I work for the London Rec Department, okay? And a lot of the kids that work this summer is some of these kids that are athletes.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Holloway, the 160-pound linebacker. If I'm not mistaken, he was a Kiwanis Club scholarship recipient.
Yeah.
So,
his son is a doctor. Okay?
Well, this kid came from hardscrabble.
Oh yeah, but his son went to Montville High. Big kid. The Mad Dog was maybe 160. The son was like 260. He's a doctor because they picture him in the school of graduates of. No, and that's the whole thing that you deal with, and it's so wonderful that you do. And I think some of the people who go to this, or some of the people that go by it, or just should say, wait a minute, here's three of us, we want to do a whole, we want to do something. Because the thing is a marvelous thing, not because you're sitting here, because of what it does for the people, okay? You didn't get to buy that shirt as good as it is with the money from the thing, okay? And that's the whole situation. And that's what we need so desperately. We need so desperately in this area people to do things like this so kids can benefit. Because New London has always been probably 2 cities or whatever, thing like that, okay? But it doesn't have to be. I mean, do you realize when you look at New London, you have 3 colleges, Mitchell, Conn College, and Coast Guard Academy. You have electric boat in New London, electric boat right across the river. FISA, the Naval Submarine Base is up the river. I mean, there's so much stuff. Ocean Beach, the new physical education. But that's the whole situation. And this area, okay, has always been a very positive situation. And,
just quickly, you mentioned Ocean Beach, that this weekend, Mark Christensen is having a big Corvette event down at the beach.
My brother used to have a Corvette.
Is closed officially for the season, so they were able to, in essence, kind of take over the park.
Yeah.
All the aficionados with Corvettes go down there, and it's really quite an event. And we got one here, and
that's yours. That one's yours.
It's a fundraiser, and the money goes back into the community, again, working with youth organizations, and you got to give Mark a pat on the back for what he does.
Well, and I'll tell you one other guy who we should give a pat on the back to, because Mark does a super job with that quote, is Mike Pacetto. Not the old one. He did great his time with her, but he still has dinners at Ocean Beach to benefit the kids in London. He lives in Waterford. And I won't say why he lives in Waterford, but that was the most foolish thing that I've ever heard of in my life. Not by him, but just the whole situation that went down. Because when we went for a mayor, I thought for sure he'd be the mayor. Because how many years did we have a city manager?
I think it was 90.
Yeah. And we've had a mayor.
So now we're in our 13th or 14th year.
Yeah, it's been only 2 people, really, one person,
Enzio managed 1 term, and he was swept out, and we've had Michael Pastro now ever since.
Yeah, and it's like, it seems like with all the political energy that people have in London, that you have more choices and stuff than that. We have that one person has basically been our mayor as long as we've had a mayor. And not that Mr. Feenson there was not a mayor, and I can't say he wasn't, but Mr. Pastro has been here for a long time. But who knows?
Yeah,
you were a mayor once.
I was. I was actually the last mayor before we changed the form of
Yeah.
government. That was in 2010, 2011.
Now, you have been in politics a lot. Would you say we would be better off with a city manager or a mayor?
I can argue both points.
Yeah, well, that's why, because that's what I'm asking you.
I believe we would be, as a community, better served with a professional administrator or a city manager.
Okay.
And at the time that we were making these decisions, which go back to 2009, I believe, and we had a number of city managers after Frank Driscoll had retired.
Yes.
And I never really fully understood what Frank did until he was gone.
Okay. And you were involved in the political situation then too.
Yeah, well, I go back to the mid-'80s.
Yeah.
But what I supported at the time was to have the referendums
Yes.
to allow the electorate to make that decision. And it took 3 votes before it got approved. And it wasn't overwhelming in terms of the participation of the electorate. One time it lost. The first time it just lost. And the day paper was pushing hard for this at the time.
Yeah.
They wanted this. They thought this would make the mayor accountable to the public.
Yep.
And based on anecdotal observation in the community, I would say that really hasn't happened.
Well, see, I don't know. It's like, it's a difficult situation. Most people who have a content or a higher degree have more of a two-party situation than we have. Because there's all kinds of opinions people have to consider. Not that anybody's doing anything wrong. I don't want to talk this show about that, because what we're talking about is that we can talk another night, we'll talk about politics, believe me. But what I'm saying to you is it's an unbelievable situation that our town, with the benefits that we have, okay, look around, and it seems like we're always looking for something. And is it an easy job to do? No. Okay, because you've been on the city council.
Governing London is a challenge.
Yeah. You've been on the city council. I don't know if you've been on the
and
school
off for
board.
10 years.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been on the school board or whatever, but you know, these are the different things you have to do. And it's like, I believe New London is different than a whole lot of other cities. Because I have not lived in a whole lot of places other than New London, but when I lived down south and stuff, New London is completely unique from any of the cities I lived on how they are and how people are and things along like that. And, you know, it becomes a situation where, you know, it's where the vote is important. Because, you know, I mean, I lost. I'm the only Democrat to lose, I think, in my life.
That's not true. Matter
Well,
of fact,
pretty close.
the young lady who lost the primary, Democratic primary yesterday, Ms. Dice,
Yeah.
she had run for school board at least twice and come up
Yeah,
short.
but she won something.
Well, she ended up getting on the council. That was
Yeah.
after at least 2 defeats as for school board.
Yeah.
And now she's lost. She's went on the short end of the stick, and Jeff Hart's back on the ticket.
Yeah. But that's an interesting thing. And I think you'll have, within the next couple of years, you'll have Jeff Hart on your show a couple of times. Because it's going to arise to a unique situation. It's like, it all has to do with control, or who has control of what. And I really think that you have to allow people to question on anything. Like when I've been doing these football games for 42 years, and people will say to me, I don't like the way you do it, it's this way, that, so forth. Yeah. You do your commercials wrong. And well, you know, if you don't listen to them, guess what? They won't listen to you. And, you know, because I always try to tell the people, a sporting event is very simplistic of what you got to do. You only got to do two things. You got to do, in this order, 1, say who's playing, 2, do the commercials, and 3, give the score. Because all the other stuff is your opinion or somebody's opinion, and and sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's a neat discussion in the booth when you have someone who doesn't think that they should have run that play or they should have continued to run the ball after they've gained.
I'm not sure that's my job or your job.
Yes.
Your job's to report what
We see.
transpired, and
But it's
mine
good
is to analyze what transpired.
Yeah, and it's really good. And that's why we're going to be starting Friday at 6:30. We'll be on the air over at Fitch. When we got to remember, it's Abbott, Tech, and Immaculate. I think we're just going to call them ATI, Abbott, Tech, Immaculate.
ATI, that's good.
But I mean, in the Fitch Falcons, and they'll be there. I remember when I was growing up, and you were growing up, that the Thanksgiving game between Fitch and New London was at
It's always at New London because Door Field wasn't big enough to accommodate the big crowd.
Yeah, and it was a big time. And I remember some of the great players that played. And think of the history, though. You have that game. You have the game that is the longest continuous high school game in the United States, New London NFA. You have the longest continuous Thanksgiving game, Westerly and Stonington is. ABC did that game one time. But what used to be that people tend to forget is that on Columbus Day, Westerly played Stonington, and on Thanksgiving, they play twice a year.
Yep.
But I'll tell you.
Well, Mike, I don't know how to tell you this, but we've exhausted our time limit here. We have got our 50 minutes in, and Drew's going to be rolling the credits here momentarily, so I wanted to thank you for coming on. You're always a pleasure. I always enjoy our conversations.
Well, see, many of the things that I have been involved with, you have. And so it's like often could be a difference of opinion, or one can add more information to a very wonderful topic. That's why when I have you do the games, is I rely on all your knowledge of having been on that field. Because when we go to Door Field, I'm assuming that you were on Door Field once.
Twice.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the beginning of playing over at Door Field. I mean, we used to play in front of thousands and thousands of people. I mean, the games don't get that anymore.
No.
But it is what it is. Folks, you've been watching City Focus tonight, and I'm delighted to have my friend Mike McLaughlin in, and we'll have him back another time soon during the course of the season, I'm sure. Next week, I'll be joined, at least my scheduled guest is Juan Roman, and he's also a terrific guy to have a conversation with.
Gosh.
And so tune in, and if you're so inclined, give us a buzz, and we'd like to have your opinions and thoughts and be a part of the show. So on that note, we'll say a good night and see you next week on City Focus.